Hello, I'm so happy you're here today. We are going to be having fun making a fun fold card, and it's the Peekaboo window card. We're going to be using the Hydrangea Haven bundle along with the designer paper. So let me show you how to make this card. Hi Stampers, this is Dawn, and today we're going to make this beautiful Mother's Day card. This is a Peekaboo window card, so you can see the front. And then you open it and you can see how the magic happens. The window slides over to reveal another message. Don't you love that? And then here's one, of course, with my cute little favorite chicken sets. So it says, "Let's celebrate you." And then it exposes the chicken with the cute little hairdo. All right, so let's go ahead and get started making this card. Okay, so let me give you all the measurements of our layer for the card. This piece of Highland Heather is cut at 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and we're going to score this piece together. And then a piece of the Hydrangea Hill designer paper. Isn't this paper beautiful? This piece is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So then we're going to use 2 pieces of basic white. These both are cut at 4 1/4, but this one is cut at 4 1/4 by 5 3/4, and then this one is cut at 3 by 4 1/4. Okay, so we're going to score these 2 pieces as well as the Highland Heather. So let's grab our paper trimmer. All right, on the Highland Heather piece, this is your 4. Let me just double check. You know, I like to double check everything here. So this is the 8 1/2 by 4 1/4. Yep. So we're going to score this piece at 4 1/4. So we're just going to score this in half. Okay. Now we're going to grab our basic white piece, or both of our pieces, and on the 5 3/4 side across the top, we're going to score this at 5 1/2. Make sure you're scoring and not cutting. So score it at 5 1/2. And then on your 3 by 4 1/4 piece, we're going to score this at, with the 3-inch side across the top, we're going to line this up at 2 3/4 and score that. Next, we're going to take both of our basic white pieces and we're going to fold our 1/4-inch score lines on both pieces. And then we're going to grab our tear and tape. And I also have a bone folder here. I'm going to burnish these edges really good where those fold lines are. Okay. Then we're going to open them up and we're going to put our tear and tape along these 1/4-inch score lines. Then I'm going to take my take your pick tool and I'm going to remove my backing. And this tear and tape might overhang, so all you're going to do is you're just going to flip it back on itself. You just don't want anything to overhang on that edge, just a tad bit wider. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove this piece just to get it ready. And once again, hopefully you can see that it does hang over a little bit, so just flip it back on itself. Okay. All right, so now both of these pieces are ready. So now we're going to grab our Hydrangea Hill designer paper. Now this piece of designer paper is directional. So with the front of my card, I'm going to be punching my circle out over here on the top right-hand side. So I'm going to put my basic white piece of cardstock over on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 1/4-inch where we have our tear and tape, and we're just going to line this up on that score line right along that edge, just like that. Okay, so you should be able to fold that piece, fold it over, and then move it. So it shouldn't be like secured down. That's where when you're putting your tear and tape on there, make sure you're flapping it up on top of that edge because you want that to free flow. Because this is the mechanism that's going to do the peekaboo on the window. Then we're going to take our Highland Heather piece. So we just scored this in half and we folded it. Now we're going to take this piece. This is the 4 1/4 by 5 3/4 piece, but we scored it at 5 1/2, remember? So we're going to do the exact same thing on this end like we did with the designer paper. But this end does not matter because it's just the purple Highland Heather cardstock. So we're just going to put this edge right onto that edge of that tear and tape and press that down. Let me get my bone folder. I want to burnish that really, really good. And let me do the other one while we're at it. Okay. So now our two pieces should look like this. Well, this is actually going to go like this. Okay. So you have your Highland Heather and the designer paper, which this is the front piece of our card. All right, now we're going to grab our 2-inch circle punch, and I'm going to be using the 2 1/4-inch circle punch as well to make like a little frame for my card. So on your front piece, let's put this piece aside for just right now so we don't get confused on what piece we're working with. So on the designer paper piece, this is the front. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over to the back. And we're going to take our 2-inch circle punch and we're going to line this up. Now remember, our circle is going to be cut up here at this top of this designer paper right here, right? So I'm going to flip it over. So I'm going to slide in my punch all the way in. And I'm not going to cut on this piece of basic white. It's just there as a guide. So I'm moving it over as far as I can right up to that basic white flap. And then putting the punch in all the way. And then I'm going to go ahead and punch. So this is going to make my first window for my peekaboo window card. Then we're going to grab our piece, our long piece for the back. Let me show you how this is going to be set up. So we're going to fold our card like this and like this. Okay, so let me show you up above here. So this is the way the card's going to sit. And then this piece is going to be on front of this piece right here. And the front, remember, is your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then this piece of Highland Heather and this piece right here is your 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So this piece is smaller because it has to be smaller so the mechanism can work inside or behind the scenes. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to take our front of our card here. So let me open this up again. So we're just going to grab this front here on this Highland Heather and line your designer paper up and your Highland Heather piece right back here. And we're going to grab a pencil. Now you're going to want to make sure that everything is lining up perfectly. You might have to trim a little bit of your cardstock, whether it's the basic white or the Highland Heather. But either way, you'll want to do this as we go, all right? So we're going to grab a pencil. I'm going to line this up on this edge over here. Remember, this is the first circle that we punched. Now we're going to take our pencil and line that circle, because now we're going to grab the punch and we're going to punch out this circle here with our 2-inch circle punch again. So line that up right where that pencil mark is, right there. Okay, now when you're going to do a test run for this piece and your designer paper should line up perfectly when you line those edges up, just like that. So you got the card folded up like this. Now you're going to take this back piece here and you're going to fold it back on itself. And you're going to once again take your pencil and draw a line, making the shape of the circle, because once again we're going to punch with our 2-inch circle punch again. Line that up with the punch and punch. So now that we punched all our little windows, everything should be lined up. So we're going to take our front of our card with the designer paper, put it on this 4 1/4-inch piece of Highland Heather, line that up with the edge, and that matches up. Then we're going to fold this forward, and that matches up. And then this piece of basic white that's going to fold to the back is going to be your front of your card message. So it should look like this. Let me show you this one here. So there's the front, and then this is what this window should look like when you stamp your first message. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put our designer paper onto the front of our card right here. So we're going to use liquid glue for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put some, now we're going to be putting the designer paper onto this Highland Heather piece. Now I find that when you're putting the liquid glue on, put it onto the little smaller piece, the 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, because your designer paper is a little bit bigger. So you don't want to put your adhesive on spots where it's not supposed to be. Okay, so put it on your little square piece right here first. and then take your designer paper and layer that right onto that Highland Heather piece. And making sure all your edges line up perfectly. Now you're going to want to think that this back piece is going to be the same length, but it's not supposed to be, all right? So you can see that this is the little hidden window that's going to expose when you open it up. So you can see here, so you can see that little peekaboo window peeking through there. Can you see it? I love it. So that's the way it's supposed to be. This piece right here is supposed to be smaller than the designer paper, all right? So when the card is opened, you're going to see this message right here. All right, so now if you want to, you can go ahead and draw another pencil line around that circle. But just know that when you're drawing a pencil line on the white pieces, you're going to want to erase them. I'm going to use the Gorgeous Scrape Classic Ink. And then I'm going to be using 2 stamps from the Hydrangea Haven bundle. Remember, this comes with the hydrangea dies, which we're also using for the front of our card. But the sayings that I'm using is "to an incredible woman," and then it says, "you are capable of amazing things." So these sayings in the stamp set are so nice that you can use really any of them. And then here's the dies. This is the one that I'm using for the hydrangea for the front. And then this one is for the little flower, little puff ball for the flower for the hydrangea part right there. And then I'm also using the leaf part that's going to be like the double layer on the leaf. So I already went ahead and cut out those, but we're going to show you how to put those together as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and stamp our greeting. First, we're going to stamp "to an incredible woman." Now, if you didn't want to use your pencil line, you could stamp right through this front of the card like that. But if you made your pencil line, you're just going to go ahead and open up your card. Let me move my ink over here. And you're going to take your stamp, and you're going to stamp your greeting right in the center of that circle, just like that. Okay? And then, of course, we're going to erase our pencil line. So let me go ahead and do that. So now our next message to stamp, so this is going to be the front. Then our next one is going to be in the inside. So you're going to move your card so your second panel or your hidden panel is going to pop out. So then we're going to go ahead. Now I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my greeting inside of the circle without using a pencil. But just know if you wanted to, you can take your pencil and trace that circle so you know exactly right where to stamp. Okay, so then you would open it up from the back and you would stamp it over here. Okay, so your circle would be outlined right here. But since I don't have that, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my stamp that says "you are capable of amazing things." And I'm going to stamp that right in the center of that circle. So cute. And I think that's all the stamping that I'm going to do on my card. So now you can see how the card is going to work here. So there's the front, and then there's the inside. Now, one more thing we're going to do is we're going to decorate all these windows. So there's 3 circle cutouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some basic white cardstock, and I'm going to use my 2-inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch out 3 of the 2-inch circles. Now I wanted to leave enough space around the circle so I can cut a little frame out with the next size up punch. And that is the 2 1/4-inch circle punch. So I'm just going to line this up over that 2-inch circle punch that we previously punched. Then I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to punch a little frame there. And then you can see that I'm going to put these around the windows just to kind of finish that off. So I'm going to take my liquid glue, and I'm going to, here, let me fold this open here. Just a thin line of the liquid glue. And then I'm going to take one of my windows and set that right over top of that window. So you can see how it nicely finishes it off. So it's not like a blunt cut right there. Then we're going to do the exact same thing for the inside. Okay, so there's my frames. I have one on each of my windows. All right, now let me show you how I built my little flower with my hydrangea dies. Okay, so let me bring in all my pieces. These are the pieces that cut out with the dies. And so here's my hydrangea flower. This is the way it punches out with the die cut machine. And you'll notice that the flowers are all flat. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your pick tool or a paper piercing tool or even a toothpick and just poke out all those little petals. It doesn't really take long at all. But I find that the take your pick tool or whatever tool you're using to poke the petals through, it really makes it really nice when you can poke every single one of the petals out. So you can see how it's like 3D. Isn't that beautiful? So I have one already done here. So then I went ahead and cut out with this die the whole flower base with the old olive. Then I cut out another section with the leaves, which looks like this, with also the old olive. Okay? So those were the 3 pieces to my flower. And then what I also did is I took the stitch-shaped oval and then also the layering ovals with the scallop, and I cut out a basic white with the stitched oval. Then with the scallop oval, I used the Highland Heather. Okay, so these 2 pieces are going to layer together. That's going to hold the flower on the left-hand side of my card on the front. So that's what I used for those here. So what I did is I just took my liquid glue again. You're going to want to use a light hand squeezing out that liquid glue because this is very thin of a die cut. But I found that if you just go down the vein of the leaves and then a little bit around the edges, you don't need a lot, and then come down the stem just a little bit. Then you can turn this over, take your flower base, and then it should layer right on here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So then it should lay onto your flower base perfectly. And then the liquid glue, you do have a little bit of time to maneuver that around into place, just like that. Isn't that pretty how that gives that definition of those leaves? I love it. And then to find the place to put your hydrangea blossom right here is you can see the shape of the flower on the base. So then you're just going to put your hydrangea and just turn it until it fits into place, and you'll know when it fits, like right there. Okay? And then all I did for that is I just took my liquid glue and I just dabbed the outside edge of the blossom, and then a little bit dotting of the liquid glue in the center. Okay, so then we're going to find our spot again on our base. I think it was right here. Nope, right here. Yep, right here's our blossom right there. So then just press that into place. Isn't that beautiful? That liquid glue. But there's your hydrangea. Gorgeous. Then this is going to go on to our oval over here for the front of our card. We're going to use the dimensionals for that. So I'm going to use 2 dimensionals. So I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. Then I'm going to add my adhesive, my Stampin' Seal with my stitched oval to this. So beautiful. We're going to tie a little bow with the ribbon too. So one more thing we're going to want to do with this card is we're going to seal up the back right here where that attachment is of the basic white to the Highland Heather. We're going to grab some more tear and tape, and I'm going to put the strip right along that seam because we don't want to see this part, but we also want to put the card to actually close and stay together, so the receiver doesn't get confused on how the card actually opens. So I'm just putting it right in the seam of the basic white and the Highland Heather with the tear and tape. And then I'm going to keep this piece is the hidden door, remember, on our peekaboo window. So we're going to keep that on the inside, and then we're going to fold that basic white over and then seal that down to the back of the Highland Heather piece. So then when the card doesn't flip open back here, so it keeps that window part in the inside. Then when they open up the card, that piece in the center is always moving and sliding. Don't you love it? Oh, I love it. All right, now one more thing. We're going to add a little bow, and I'm using the silver metallic edged ribbon. We're going to just tie a really cute little bow here. And we're going to attach this with a glue dot. I'm going to trim our tails. I'm going to actually put 2 glue dots right down here at the base of our little blossom of our flower of our hydrangea. I'm going to take my ribbon, my cute little bow, and just put that right there. So then on this one, you could also stamp your greetings more on the inside, and then you also have the back to sign a greeting on if you want to too for your card. All right, so let me show you the other 2. So here's the other hydrangea card, exactly the same. And then here's the one that I used the Hey Chick and the Hey Birthday Chick with that one. You can see that, how cute that is when you open it up. How adorable. So if you have any questions about today's cards, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. And if you like today's video, give me the thumbs up. And also I'll have all the items listed down below. Okay, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you later. Bye.